Assassin's Creed Shadows. This has been, it just seems like every day there's something to talk about with this game. And it's really amazing. I mean, it really is. To see just them continuously. You ever seen that picture, that GIF or the scene from The Simpsons where it's Sideshow Bob stepping on rakes and he keeps hitting himself in the face with the rakes? You ever seen that before?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's what I think Ubisoft is doing with Assassin's Creed Shadows. They're just consistently stepping on rakes over and over again. They released 2 hours of gameplay, as well as a lot of people actually had between 4 and 6 hours of gameplay recently, some of the access media, and they were talking about things that were going on. And some keen-eyed folks really pointed out some interesting inaccuracies. And the thing about this game is they really said over and over again that they strive for historical accuracy. You guys recall this part of the conversation? How important it was to them? Apparently in feudal Japan, they had watermelons and cherry blossoms, which was quickly pointed out. This is not something that actually took place over here. This is from Kongman, friend of the show. It says, FYI, watermelons are never seen in the same season as cherry blossoms, summer versus spring. Didn't reach Japan until the Edo period, long after the Sengoku period. But Ubisoft had to include watermelons for the legendary Forgotten Black Samurai. Oh my. And this has been passed around 2.5 million times over on X right here. I guess the way I lead into this is, don't you think they probably should have thought a little more about including that fruit in this game, given the conversation around it?
I think this is the smallest of our worries.
Smallest of our worries?
Yeah, watermelon gay is like the smallest of our worries. If you even look at that photo, his weapon is clipping his head. Dude should be dead. If that was real. But yeah.
This is true. You can see the weapon literally clipping through the hat right here.
Yeah, like I think that's even worse. The constant clipping that we see in this game.
You know, I think for me, the most interesting about this is the idea that, like, yes, that's bad, right? For me, it's the idea that they continuously over and over again said historically accurate, historically accurate, historically accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is pretty bullshit.
Not even close to being historically accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So this is pointed out, like Kay came in, said, you know, this is responding to me. The watermelon thing is just fucking hilarious. Says, yeah, that part I can understand. It's just weird to me when people are using it as a way to denounce the game. Yes, Assassin's Creed aims to be historically accurate, but there's a huge pile of issues in accuracy before getting into a random fruit that happens to be out of season. I mean, there is truth in that, but I would counter that with saying, like, it's the details that make games great.
It's true. All of it matters. But on the scale of everything, I would say this matters the least that we've seen so far.
I'll agree with Melee here. Like, I think, and depending on how, because we're seeing a screenshot that we can look at for a long period of time. The trees in the background, the cherry blossom trees, they're beautiful. They add like depth to the scene. They look good. The watermelon, like, I don't know if I would have noticed that necessarily unless someone was pointing it out. And again, like, you're probably just running by it in that whole thing. So, you know, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, this is minor in the slew of things that are happening with this. It doesn't mean it's not, the optics of it aren't bad. You know, I don't think fruit is inherently racist, but
I agree.
You know,
I agree. I think my thing is, it just goes back to, you know, what the controversy is around this game. You know what many of the controversies are about this game. As they're creating this, like, I agree. I don't think fruit is inherently racist at all. A lot of people like fruit. A lot of people like watermelons, right?
Mm-hmm. I love watermelon.
Everybody loves watermelon. It's a delicious fruit.
Yeah.
But if you're going to say, hey, this is historically accurate, then you should probably cross the T's and dot the I's.
True.
And what it does is it devalues the rest of your statements by saying how historically accurate it is. If you can't get a fucking fruit right or the cherry blossoms season right, then you probably can't get the other things right.
Yeah.
That's my only thought on that. Kongman came back and had this. He said, still can't believe Ubisoft created a game in 2025 where a black man goes around killing Asians. And he included footage of him literally decapitating these guys.
Dude, the animation's solid, though. That looked cool. I will say that. But yes,
my
very
God,
funny.
He's slicing and dicing off those. guys' heads, man. That's crazy. Yikes. So there's that. And what was interesting about this, and it's pretty brutal, isn't it? If you scroll up, you can see here, it says, this is Yoko, who says a Japanese patriot based in Japan all her life. Okay, this is someone who lives in Japan. It says historically, the black man was not actually a samurai. Ubisoft is fabricating Japanese history to suit their DEI agenda and spreading it worldwide. While promoting DEI, Ubisoft is trampling on or trampling. Sorry, I misread that. Trampling on Japanese history. What are they thinking? Are they black supremacists? Don't change Japanese history. Hashtag Asian Lives Matter. I think that's probably one of the most interesting things about this conversation. You have Asian people who are like, yo, that's not accurate, like at all. And they're saying, please don't change our history. But Ubisoft continues to tell them how historically accurate their game is. It's really like amazing to me. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
You think they threw the watermelon in like just because they thought it was funny?
I want the fried chicken.
Someone has a sense of humor, Blabs? It seems.
So we need the fried chicken as well, then.
It's incredibly racist, Blabs.
Yeah, but so is Ubisoft.
Food is.
I'm thinking as Ubisoft would.
We do have breaking news, actually. Blabs.
You are racist.
Sorry.
I think the word is based.
Oh, okay.
Spelled it wrong.
Now it would be very awkward if he's walking down the street in this feudal Japanese area
with a bucket of KFC.
then this random Japanese man walks up and offers him some fried bird. That'd be quite the interesting development, to say the least. Well, I guess we'll find out more.
I do think it's important to remember too that the one big mistake that Ubisoft made was saying, like, this is based on real history. Like, and they really leaned into that because everybody knows that, like, especially in Hollywood, the based on a true story or inspired by a true story often becomes a complete fabrication in a lot of ways. And that's exactly what's happening here. You have a real person who existed, that they're now, because that they feel they need to check off boxes and be a certain way towards a certain group, they're embellishing on story. They're going to make it more entertaining as they see it. If they had just come out and said, like, we're basing this on a person who existed, but it is not historically accurate at all. This is completely, you know what I mean? Like, that may have been a little bit more forgivable, but now they've dug themselves such a hole that it's like, well, now you look like idiots because you can't keep anything straight. But yeah, I mean, Hollywood, people don't know, Hollywood does based on a true story all the time. And a lot of times they take one person or multiple people and smash them into one person, or they completely make up a person to fill in, gaps for dramatic effect or whatever, or exaggerate events that lead to a similar ending, but just aren't the same. So it doesn't excuse this behavior necessarily here. Cause again, the problem is they lean too hard into, we're historically accurate. This is what happened, and now it's turning into a mess. And not to mention the bugs in the game.
It goes back to me for credibility every time. Once again, if one of your selling points to this game is how historically accurate it is and how you honored the Japanese people, and you honored feudal Japan, you clearly didn't do that in this situation. So yeah, it's a mess. It is an absolute mess.